providing resources and comfort to caregivers. This is Caregiver Crossing.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Caregiver Crossing, or welcome, I guess. Hi. Oh, boy. I wasn't here last time, you guys. I've been sick. I had laryngitis. This is the best you get right now.
It's not bad. It's kind of, I don't mind it.
Really?
I think it's kind of cool.
You guys are kind of cool.
You're cool.
Okay. Well, hey, everybody else. Welcome. We're here on Caregiver Crossing, and we're glad you're here. If it's your first time joining us, I think you might want to know what you're in for here. And we are a show brought to you by Joy's House in partnership with Cardon and Associates. And we are here every week to talk about all things caregiving. So I am your co-host, Tina McIntosh, in studio with
Terry Lynn Stacy
of
Hancock County.
And that guy.
I'm Noah Taylor of Indianapolis.
Robot much?
I was trying to go fast. Terry went slow, so I thought...
You did a thing.
I did, yeah.
You did a thing, and I liked
something.
it. I liked
Jenny
it.
was being snarky towards me. Speed it up.
All right, so
lady is what he's trying to say.
This is an interesting conversation
Okay,
because
Noah.
I do want to know. I'm gonna out myself on this, okay?
All right.
Do you know what July is other than hot?
July, well, it's Independence. We've got a lot happening in July, right? It is hot, but it's 4th of July.
But I love that you said Independence Week. I always have tried to say Independence Day.
Yeah.
4th of July is a day to me. Independence Day is to be celebrated. But yeah, different therapy session. It is actually Disability Pride Month. And
Which means?
Well, it's a time that we are celebrating the strength and the identity and the resilience of people living with disabilities. And so it can be somebody who's born with what we would know as a disability or something maybe that you acquire later in life, but it's a month to recognize the dignity and remove the shame from it. And so, I think it's important for caregivers. But I'll just start by saying this, like I have what I could classify as several disabilities.
See, I like to, and I know this may sound strange to some of you, but I think there's special abilities that you have that I don't have. If you have a disability, you have strengths beyond anything I can ever imagine. I think you have special abilities that I don't have.
I love that. It's interesting. There's actually some studies out there about, and don't get too excited. I think they're in the very beginning stages, but, in the brain, autism and ADHD and anxiety, and there's some other things that are housed in the same part of the brain. And there is some talk about, it's a question, could autism be not a disability, but an adaptation?
I like that.
And
because
I think it's an interesting thing.
Absolutely. Those with autism have created amazing works of art and music and film and have abilities that, again, I will never know.
Well, there's telepathy. There is a podcast out there. We'll give them a shout out called the Telepathy Files. And it's about people living with autism and the mental telepathy that happens between particularly their parents and them. So, I think it's interesting. So here are mine. I have lived my entire life with anxiety disorder. I was actually hospitalized in the 4th grade with what they called school phobia for an entire month. And so I was at Riley for a month, 4th grade, missed it, almost got held back because they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And it's something I have lived with, battled against, been aware of my entire life. But now I'm to the point where I can stand in front of 1,000 people and give a speech and have an anxiety attack. You wouldn't even know.
Nope.
I think that's so important too, because a lot of the times disabilities aren't even visible to other people on the outside.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. So that's one of mine. Any other different abilities that anybody wants to give up?
I don't. I don't. Not that I don't want to give up. I just am not thinking about it, but not that I would think would be classified as a disability.
Yeah.
Not me personally, but I do have some family members who do have some disabilities.
Yeah.
Maybe even people who have a handicap parking sticker, some older adults like that.
Yeah. And my husband and I could technically have those passes for parking because of our diagnoses that came later in life, cancers and my brain tumor and things like that. So I guess my brain tumor would technically be a disability.
Well, I'll tell you that we've come a long way, but we're not there yet when it comes to, I don't know what the right words are. We used to use the word handicap, right? And handicap parking, but a long time ago there wasn't anything like that.
No.
sidewalk accessibility to get on sidewalks, things like that. So we've come a ways, but I know that those that do have those challenges say there's still not enough.
Well, I mean, let's go back to Noah's, point. A lot of those disabilities are invisible, and that makes them hard to talk about, recognize, whatever. But 1 in 4 adults in the U.S. has some type of a disability, and this Disability Pride Month was celebrated for the first time, and I think it was 1990, and it was the same year that the American Disabilities Act was passed.
There you
So,
go. Yeah.
so why, Noah? You're the one that brought this to us. Why is it important for caregivers to recognize this month?
I think it's really important for a lot of reasons. I think number one is pride can be really powerful. We should really encourage our loved ones to feel proud of who they are and not ashamed of what they need. If maybe their needs are a little bit different than somebody else, who cares? That makes you special. I think number 2, language matters a lot. I don't know if I'm using the correct language 24/7, but I think just ask your loved one what they prefer, what term they prefer to be called in there. And then really, these are not signs of limitation. Everybody should have a little bit of equity.
Bosma Enterprises. Have you heard of Bosma Enterprises?
Of course. Yeah.
Bosma Enterprises has been around over 100 years. They are there for the visually impaired and those that are blind, big diagnosis that you are blind. And they have a new campaign, and we should get them on. And it's called the White Cane Foundation. It's actually a White Cane Foundation now, which is for all of us to know how much these canes do for those that are visually impaired or blind, that for them to have access to freedom. And not everybody has them. They cost about $50, and not everybody has them. And so they've created a foundation where we can just solely donate for buying somebody a cane.
I
A
can
white
do that.
cane. You
I
can
love
do
that.
You can do that. It's easy to do. We'll have them on, and they can talk about how they have been so amazing in our community, in our state, when it comes to helping those that are visually impaired or blind, and the disability, if you want to use that word disability, and what that means to those that need that access, that feel of freedom. Can you imagine? I see people downtown all the time, and they're crossing streets, and they've got their cane, and you think about the strength that takes to get yourself from one place to another without being seen in a city.
Well, in the exhaustion, the mental and
Oh, my
physical exhaustion
goodness.
of
Must
working
be.
through anything, right? So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, hats off. So,
Me too. I
thanks for
agree.
the shout out. All right, we're going to have to take a break. We're going to stick around. And I'm going to go ahead and share, if you want to find past episodes of Caregiver Crossing, you can go to joyshouse.org. Be sure to also like and follow us on Facebook. We'd love to see you there. And we want to hear from you. What do you want to hear about on the show? What do you want connected, with resources, or what's your experience? We want to hear that too. And so if you have any questions, you can email me at tina@joyshouse.org. Again, tina@joyshouse.org. We're going to take a break.
You're listening to Caregiver Crossing, a show designed for family caregivers and the people who love them. Caregiver Crossing is brought to you by Joyce House in partnership with Cardon & Associates, with 20 communities owned, operated, or managed in the Midwest, and more than 40 years of senior living experience. Cardon & Associates provides residents with the best senior living options and personalized service. Visit cardon.us to find a community near you. Stay put. We'll be right back with more Caregiver Crossing right after the break.
Welcome back to Caregiver Crossing. We're your hosts, Tina McIntosh and Terry Stacy. And we're in here with Noah Taylor at the Joyce House Studio. Noah is our producer. If you know him, you love him. If you don't, you should. We are happy to welcome also Nick Roberts to Caregiver Crossing. Nick serves as the District 4 Councilor in Lawrence Township, and he brings a thoughtful, community-focused perspective to everything that he does. And in addition to the work that he does in the council, he also serves as the Director of Community Relations for the Lawrence Township Trustee's Office, and he volunteers with too many organizations for us to list here because his goal is really to make a difference. And so Nick is known for his commitment to listening, learning, and lifting up the people he serves. He also, by the way, is one of the youngest city councilmen. Is that right? Did I say that right?
Yes.
Yeah, and we're really glad to have you for a meaningful conversation, and I don't think we're going to have enough time, so we're going to get into it. But Nick, hi.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Glad you're here. So you're clearly a Lawrence Township person, and you care about that community. Before we get into some of the questions that we had shared ahead of time, why? What makes you care so much about Lawrence?
Yeah, I mean, it's a cliche, but I've lived in the area my entire life. I think when you're from an area, you have a lot more investment in it. It's not just me. My grandparents, my grandma was literally in the first graduating class at Lawrence North. My mom had me while she was a student at Lawrence North. So I'm a third generation, resident of the area. And I think it's a lot more sentimental being able to work on things when it's in your own backyard, and there's that attachment. And it's a cliche, but politics and government can be really messy and really egotistical and really divisive. But when it's for the right reasons, it can be the most, worthwhile purpose, in my opinion, actually make a difference.
What
And
has,
go ahead.
and I'm sorry, what has shocked you though, now that you're here and maybe trying to get things done? What has been a surprise to you in the challenges that are ahead of getting something done?
Yeah, and I think the positive part of it is, thankfully, this is probably a good answer. I think people are kinder and more reasonable than you might think. Obviously, I think especially politically, we look at the national politics, which is a bit of an interesting situation, and we think all the worst. But locally, it's a lot more reasonable. It's a lot more bipartisan. It's a lot more common sense, clearly. And I think people are usually willing to get things done. I think the process can be the most intimidating part of it. Obviously, our government is and our laws are written by attorneys, and it's a complicated part of it. Every comma is argued in, right, when you're drafting policies and you are passing different ordinances dealing with different issues. So there are 25 of us as counselors. There's the mayor's office. There are department heads. There are a lot of players that have to get some buy-in. And of course, any issue that you have, there's always nonprofit partners and the private sector who have their thoughts on these different issues too. And you really want to hear from all the different, community partners on these issues. And it's very complicated, right? I think most people, of course, are well-intentioned, but with everyone coming in at once, you have to kind of block out the noise sometimes and stay focused on what you want to do. But it can be difficult when the process makes things so long to actually get things done. And it's for a reason, but you have to really be focused on what you want to do and what you want to see done in your community to get it done.
I think you touched on a few things that make me realize some conversations I've had recently about local. Things need to happen at the local level, period.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care where you sit. We're not a political show. I don't care where you sit on it. This is where we really make a difference.
It's really one of the most important
It is.
places you can pay attention to is your local, your school board.
But we don't.
But we don't.
We don't.
But I hope we're getting smarter in understanding that local is where we really need to focus oftentimes.
Agreed. So Nick, for you, in running, what were some areas of focus for you? Just give us a couple.
Yeah, really the top two are infrastructure and public safety. Obviously, infrastructure is self-explanatory. Our roads in Indianapolis are systemically underfunded for a variety of reasons. And this is the time of year where everyone notices it more than usual. And there's a lot of work on that. There's been a lot of big wins recently, not just in our area in the Northeast side, but also the way the state funds the roads has gotten a big improvement just in the last week. They're giving the city basically an opportunity to raise an extra $150 million for roads, which is a game changer. It's been a huge win. That money is going to go to sidewalks, a lot of the different things that we all need. And then secondarily, of course, public safety, that you hear about all the time. I think everybody now is more hypersensitive to it than ever with Nextdoor and, Citizens and all these apps that there are, and even Facebook and the local news. Of course, even when crime is going down like it's been, people want to see results. They want to feel like they're in a safe area, and justifiably so. Everyone wants to. So we're really working on, of course, working with law enforcement to make sure they can hire the staff that are necessary to staff IMPD, the sheriff's office, the prosecutor's office, the fire department, all of that, because those are really the positions that make a big difference in the city. And there's other issues too, but for a sake of time, I'll just mention those two.
Well, and one of the things that I know you're interested in is livable. What's a livable city? The infrastructure is something that people overlook all the time too, right? I mean, we think it's about a hubcap, and really it's not. It's about getting from point A to point B. I mean, but a livable city, especially when it comes to older adults, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think, of course, a lot of the things that are the case for younger people and older people are the same. I actually have a very unique perspective. I don't think any of you know this, but actually, numbers-wise, I have the oldest city council district of 25, which is deeply ironic considering I am the youngest counselor.
That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of wealthier areas. a lot of the Geist area is a lot wealthier and older. A lot of the younger, hipper areas of the city, like Broad Ripple, a lot of areas downtown I don't have in my district. So it's just a different perspective. But honestly, I mean, I find that, of course, walkability is important too. I find safety isn't typically a issue that motivates older people more than younger people sometimes. I think, and there's, again, a variety of factors I think contribute to that, but it's for a good reason. People want to feel safe when they go to the grocery store, feel safe going downtown. They want to feel safe going to Broad Ripple, wherever they end up at. I find that in general too, I think older people, and I hate to say it like this, get some issues better than younger people. I think they understand the importance of local politics. I mean, if you look at voting turnout for older people, I could not emphasize enough how much old. I mean, the average voter in my district was 62 for my election. Okay, 62.
Wow.
So, for these local elections where there's usually very low turnout, it's the older voters that make that happen, and I think they get a lot of political representation for that reason. People take that seriously, and I think it's kudos to them for knowing how important local elections are and contacting. When I get people contacting me about different issues, it's typically retirees and older people.
That's right.
The HOAs I speak at, the neighborhood associations I go to, the volunteering I do with cleanups, it's typically older people. And fair. I mean, that's
yeah,
right. It's I think they understand that part of it, how important getting involved on the grassroots side of it is for your community, for your politics, for your neighborhood, all of that, how important it is.
Well, and I think that also goes back to Richard Rohr, which is a hard word for me to say, but Rohr. He is an author that wrote, oh golly, I've just lost the name of the book. But his book that I love and can't remember the name is all about how the first 40 years are us falling upward is the name, is all about us figuring out who we are, how we want to climb and whatever that means, planning our lives, looking forward, all that. The second 40 plus years is about what legacy do we want to leave behind and who do I want to raise up and how do I want to live out between now and dead? Quite frankly, how do I want to live out that time? And so it makes sense to me that people are paying more attention, Nick, to you and other people who are in government, who they really realize I'm going to get out and be a part of making a difference. And they're probably also the ones who, when they say they want to help you and lift you up so that you can help impact the community, they mean it because that's where they are in life. And so I know we're going to have to take a break here in just a moment. When we come back, you've been really vocal about reimagining spaces. And that's part of the infrastructure too, right? And livability. And so I think one of those spaces that you've talked about is Castleton. I'm interested in that conversation because I think that what we do with areas like that will also dictate and help set precedents for what we do in other areas. And I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on that when we come back. So again, you're hearing our voices and the voice of our guest, who is the City Councilor District 4, Nick Roberts. And we're going to take a break, but we will be back in just a moment on Caregiver Crossing.
You're listening to Caregiver Crossing, a show designed for family caregivers and the people who love them. Caregiver Crossing is brought to you as a service of Joyce House in partnership with Gardon and Associates. With locations in Broad Ripple and near the University of Indianapolis campus, Joyce House provides exceptional day services for individuals living with a life-altering diagnosis and compassionate support for family caregivers throughout the community. At Joyce House, we believe that everyone deserves to live their best life, regardless of their abilities. Learn more about our adult day and caregiver support services by calling us at 317-254-0828. Or by visiting joycehouse.org today. All right, stick around, everybody. We'll be right back with more Caregiver Crossing shortly.
Hey, welcome back to Caregiver Crossing. I was going to have Terry bring us in.
Here we
but
go.
I don't
Hi,
know what
welcome
she's
back
doing.
to Caregiver Crossing. I'm Terry. Tina, Noah's here.
What up?
In studio with us
I'm Tina.
is City Councilor. Yeah, that's right. Did I screw it up? Do you want to do it again?
No, but you know what I do think is really important?
What?
Indianapolis City Councilor.
Indianapolis City Councilor, right. Indianapolis City County Councilor is here. District 4. Nick Roberts is his name. I'm getting a first introduction, and it's just what a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
This guy is young and really has a fresh perspective, and I think that's what we need right now because, well, we can't lose, right? I mean, can't we do any worse?
Well, we need it. I mean, we need it, and we're glad you're doing it.
Well,
And so,
yeah, because many won't at your age to jump in. Let's talk about Castleton.
yeah.
First, off air, we were just talking about the boundaries of what we consider as Lawrence. Castleton is something you're focused on right now and kind of reimagining what Castleton can look like. Tina has some very strong feelings about it, so I hope that what you say will be okay, or she's going to throw you off the show.
I will not. I respect anybody's perspective.
I do too.
I'm just curious about what does reimagining Castleton look like to you?
Yeah, so there's a lot to it. I mean, clearly, I grew up going to Castleton. I have multiple family members who own businesses in the Castleton area. It's really important. Clearly, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. We've been fortunate over even the last month or so. We've had 3 or 4 businesses go into some of the prominent empty storefronts in the area, which is a really good start. There's a new Japanese barbecue place on 86th Street. There's another new one going next to that, the old On the Border. There's a new dessert shop going on 82nd Street. So there are some popping up, which is great. But I think the issue really is just Castleton is an aged area. It was developed in the 70s and 80s when everyone drove cars everywhere, and it was big parking lots everywhere, and that was the fad back in the day. That doesn't really apply anymore. There are a lot of, even around the Castleton Square Mall area, which by most counts is doing very well. There are a lot of issues there, certainly, but if you literally go within the mall, I mean, almost every storefront's open. It's usually always busy. It's the most profitable it's ever been at the mall itself, which shocks a lot of people to hear about. But I think we need to obviously help, especially aesthetically, for the whole area. There needs to be a lot more cleanups, a lot more work going on. And there's good news. I think the best news we could ever have is the Nickel Plate Trail coming through the Castleton area, which is going to connect all the way from Fishers and Noblesville through Castleton, through Keystone Fairgrounds. We actually just got good news about 2 months ago that we were getting a bridge over 82nd Street, which is going to be great. 96th Street's going to have one too. Keystone Avenue's going to have one here as well. So,
and you're talking about a bridge, meaning what would that look like?
For people to cross the trail, to cross in these main roads, because that's obviously, we all know, dangerous to cross a lot of main roads, especially for people that do mobility issues, right? They want to utilize these trails but may not be able to walk across them. But we have seen what trails do for areas of cities. The Monon obviously is another example of that. We saw what it did to Broad Ripple, Nora, other areas on the Old North Side that really developed a lot after the, Monon, that are still having economic development 20 years after the Monon was built. And I think Nickel Plate, we're hoping with properties that are along it, will really have a similar trajectory where they can really, start being bought up by people who want to live on the Monon. I mean, Nickel Plate, it's a great way to live. I mean, on a trail, you really can't beat it. It's just such a great thing to have.
So you say that, and it makes me think, yes, the aesthetics of it are important too, right? Mm-hmm. Like what is there is critical, but there has to be a reason for people to get off the trail. So whatever it is that we collectively do as a community and under your leadership and others, I am behind 100% because it's like, okay, let's build this infrastructure. Let's make sure people want to stop there and spend their money, spend their time, create their community, be a part of it all.
And feel safe.
And feel safe.
Castleton has been gone. Castleton has its share of trouble, especially at the mall, over the last few years. But that's everywhere.
But that's the thing.
Everywhere.
It's everywhere, and I think
you want to feel safe though when you go after hearing stuff like that.
Yeah, and I just always challenge people to be careful not to make up their own stories about whatever it is.
Yeah,
because I take my niece who's 5.
Right. I still go too.
I take my grandmother-in-law who's 97. And we're all safe and all is well. But we tell ourselves these stories sometimes, or it's what we hear. Even when it's based in truth. And so I love this kind of reimagination of that area and can't wait to see it happen. That new exchange there is fantastic, by the way. I don't know if you love it or hate it.
Oh, yeah.
I am loving the new exchange. And I think that's going to bring us a lot of business in the Castleton area, too.
So I just want to also add to, if, I live out just east of Washington Square. I've seen what's happened to Washington Square. I've seen what's happened out to Lafayette Square. Castleton Square still remains strong, though. You believe that if there's still people that want to go to the mall, and it has not suffered at all like the other malls have.
Yeah, I mean, I think the issues are more outside of the mall than inside the mall, honestly, in my opinion. I think a lot of it is just too many parking lots and not maintained properties, quite frankly. I mean, and also, this shocks a lot of people when I tell them. When IMPD will come to community events, they will tell people, and this is something that's backed up in the facts, every crime metric has gone down in Castleton over the last 5 years, over the last 1 year. I mean, it is true.
That is great.
And that's true across the city, but it counteracts, I think, a lot of the narrative. And I hate to say it, but a lot of those apps I was talking about earlier, Citizens, Nextdoor,
Yeah.
apps that get people immediate notifications. Not always accurate. There are times people tell me about some Nextdoor post or citizens post about some, violent crime in the community. And then I call IMPD about it and like, well, that wasn't actually accurate. It happened in a different area of the city, or it was,
True.
those apps are very good. And I'll get it too on my email where it'll say, oh, your neighborhood has a crime incident. I'll click on it. It's like, oh, it was 20 miles away, right?
Yep.
But they all really prey on people's, I hate to say, fear and vulnerability.
It's true.
To really capitalize on that to get clicks and engagement. And the news does it too, of course. But I'm not saying that Castleton's safer to lose kind of a sense of getting things done, because we still need to work on it and aggressively move forward and improve it. But it's just a fact that I think does illuminate that there is positive work going on, especially for all those businesses that are coming in. There is growth. We need to continue to work on that and really embrace that positive change.
You are hearing the voice of Nick Roberts, who's the Indianapolis City Councilor for District 4. We've only got a couple more minutes here, less than that. I also want to say we've got to keep those businesses like MCL in place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And,
Yes,
that's
yes.
a locally owned, wonderful food, and they are so good. If you are listening to this and you are a caregiver for someone in your life, take them to MCL. They will help you with everything you need there. I mean, those places are important. And as we are thinking about communities, Noah, I think we need to be considering who can we bring on the show to talk about how they're doing their business to work with caregiving families, I think would be important. So, all right, we're going to have you back at another point. You've been very open about mental health and why that's important. I want to talk about that with caregivers another day, because in 40 seconds or less, I'm going to ask you, you've had conversations with older adults and family caregivers, and I'm wondering if there's any moment that shifted how you think about policy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, every moment. I was raised by my grandparents and my great-grandparents. I was very lucky. I was raised with 4 generations in one house. Honestly, it was just every moment of my growing up. I can't really pinpoint one moment, but I lived with my great-grandparents when I was a child, which is a very, very rare experience to have. And, a lot of the time I spent with them was so formative in my entire life. A lot of the interests I have are things they kind of raised me on. And I just couldn't be more grateful for them, for all of that. And yeah, I feel very grateful for my grandparents, especially for all they did.
Nick Roberts and Noah Taylor, what we didn't say is you guys went to middle school together.
We did. We went to middle school and high school together.
Yes.
How is it for you, Noah, seeing what, we could talk all day long about the things you're accomplishing, but right now we're focused on Nick, right? And so no blackmailing stories about Noah.
I don't think I have any.
Hey, I think I went to sleep over your house once.
Yes.
I don't know if anything happened, but
Maybe some Cheetos at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Right. How is it for you to sit here and look at somebody that you've
We're
known
really
since you
blessed
were
to have
mere
Nick
kids
as,
doing the
in
work
our
he's
community.
doing?
I mean, this is
really
helping lead some change here.
thank you, Noah. You too.
Nick Roberts, thank you here. Thank you for being here. The rest of you, thank you for being here too. We're going to have to take a break, but you've been listening to Caregiver Crossing. We'll be back with you for a few minutes till the top of the hour. And we are a show designed for family caregivers and the people who love them. Before we go, we do want to say thank you so much to our partners at Cardon and Associates. And if you want to learn more about them, you can certainly look them up, or you can get a hold of us. You can email me at tina@joycehouse.org, but we'd love to connect you. Great people. Stick around. We'll be back in just a moment. Oh, hey, we're
Hi.
back here in
Hey.
Caregiver Crossing. Tina, Terry,
Hi,
Noah.
Tina. How are you
Hello.
feeling, by the way?
I have a brain tumor.
I know. And
Do you
I
know
just
why I
wondered
bring
how
it up?
things are well because it's Brain Tumor Month.
Who knew there was a brain tumor month?
I did.
But really, how are you? Are you?
I feel
okay?
great. So let's discuss.
Okay.
All right. Well, first of all, it is Brain Tumor Awareness Month, and it's a time that we are raising awareness about brain tumors and recognizing that there's this physical, emotional, financial toll that it can take on families. And there's a lot of uncertainty from navigating the treatment options to supporting loved ones during challenging needs. And the reality, in my experience, which is limited, but I also have friends who have brain tumors because it's contagious. I'm kidding. It's not contagious. It's not contagious. When you have these things, you joke about them inappropriately and make everyone uncomfortable. But my tumor is what's called a meningioma, and it's a non-cancerous brain tumor. And we've been watching it for about
such a blessing.
5
If
years.
you're going
It
to
is-
have it.
It is an absolute blessing. I have a history of cancer, so that was something we were watching. And last June, almost a year ago, doctors came to me and said, "Hey, this thing's growing too big. We are concerned, and it's not an option for surgery because of where it is. It's just really snug in there." And so they said you have to have brain radiation. So I did that in December of this past year. Fast forward, the goal has been to stunt the growth and maybe shrink the tumor if possible, and keep the tissue around it healthy. And I got news this past week that all happened.
Oh, that it all
Oh
happened.
my
Oh
gosh.
my
That is
really
gosh,
wonderful
that's
to
the
hear.
best
So-
news. Thank God.
You know, from me not being preachy, Tina, my perspective, like literally praise God. I mean, it has not only been stunted, it has shrunk. And from a volumetric perspective, the shrinkage is pretty substantial. It's still there, but
And
the
that was
shrinkage
from
is great.
the medicine.
It's from the radiation.
radiation.
But here's what I think people need to understand, and I've had several conversations about this. When you have a brain tumor, it is different. I've had tumors in my breast with breast cancer. I've had breast cancer twice. I've had a brain surgery. I've had all kinds of colon resection and lost babies and all the things. My husband's had a lot of health issues too. With the brain tumor, you can't see it. And so it gives me an empathetic perspective for my friends who do have brain tumors that are cancerous, for our guests at Joy's house and other people I meet that have maybe even a traumatic brain injury, maybe not a tumor, but a traumatic brain injury or dementia or things like that are brain centric, because we can meet on the street and you have no clue that I spent 5 consecutive days, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in a mask that was so tight on my face, it left, marks. And I had to go into an MRI machine locked, or the radiation machine locked in. And I have to have MRIs every handful of months where I have to put a head cage on and go in. It sucks, you guys. When people are like, oh, I had to have my ankle MRI'd and I hated it. I'm like, because try putting your head
in a
lock,
tight lock
or
cage.
putting one of those, looks like a goalie mask on to go in for radiation, and it's your brain. And so, Noah, I'm so glad that you brought this, brain tumor awareness month to us, because there are so many people. I think my point in saying this, and we can talk a little bit more about the brain tumors, and this is in my book. So if it sounds preachy to you in this way, or familiar, I know you've read the book, but we all have scars. We have all got something wrong with us. We all have a diagnosis or a challenge or a family member or whatever.
Everybody's going through something, and we don't know.
We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We're quick to judge. We're quick to be bitey and testy about things. And, it would be really dangerous and overwhelming if we could get into each other's spirits and minds to know what's going on. But wouldn't it be nice in those moments when you're thinking like, that woman was such a jerk who was serving us at lunch, or that guy flipped me off, driving down the road.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know what's going on with them.
I know.
So
It's hard to do that, but to get there I think if you get there, it's got to be good for you to
Right?
get to that space where you don't judge every person and everything for something.
But we all
Anything.
forget it.
We
all forget it.
It's human nature and it happens, but
Yeah.
be amazing if we stop that.
If we could be just a little bit kinder,
So you
So,
have good news when
I
it
have
comes
great
to
news.
the tumor in your brain.
I have great news. Mine's the best possible scenario for what it is. I can have radiation again in the future. But, for my brothers and sisters out there who don't have as good of news or don't know right now, or you're in that wave of uncertainty, I mean, brain tumors that's a common thing too, Noah. And I think you pointed that out to us preparing for the show. Like, brain tumors aren't always cancerous, but people have said to me like, oh, I can't imagine how it feels having brain cancer. I'm like, no, cancel. I don't
It's
have,
not true. No.
I don't have that, but it can be cancerous. It can be non-cancerous. It can impact your speech. I have a friend who has a brain tumor at the base of her skull, and it affects her tongue. When she sticks her tongue out, it takes a sharp left, I think is what it does. Like it.
Oh, wow.
So it can affect, your speech, your swallowing, your memory, your personality, movement. It just depends on where it is. The brain is the center of everything. And so if you have, or your loved one has, headaches that seem out of the norm, or they're maybe too often, there's some confusion that can't be explained, their vision changes are often a big one as well, or these mood shifts. And I don't just mean, hey, Terry's a little crabby today. You crabby today?
Not today.
Are you now? But they can be early signs, and early detection is really, really critical for that. So I know, Noah, you've got some statistics too before we have to go.
Yeah, so nearly 700,000 people in the U.S. are living with a primary brain tumor right now. And another fact is actually the brain tumors are the most common solid cancer in children.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's a very, very prevalent form of cancer in our society, and definitely a good thing that we're making aware.
700,000 people in the United States. We were just talking about how you would never know some of them. 700,000
Right?
walking around with this. Right. Key takeaways for the caregivers, for you. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. Ask for help, as we've said before. Take breaks when you can, and remember that your well-being really matters too. Don't ever forget that for whatever you're doing as a caregiver. And sharing your story, even the hard parts, they can certainly connect you to others who truly understand. All right, that's what we've got. Let's see, checking our time. Tina, you want to take us out?
Yeah, I mean, as we close today, we want to remind you that we want to hear from you. We want you to tell us what you want on the show. Maybe what you don't want on the show, be nice. But we want to hear from you. And if you've got resources or you need resources, connect with us. You can call us at 317-254-0828, 317-254-0828. Before we go, we do want to thank our friends at Cardon and Associates. Noah, can you tell us about them?
I will. With 20 communities owned, operated, or managed in the Midwest, and more than 4 decades of senior living experience, Cardon and Associates provides residents with the best senior living options and personalized service. Until next time, everybody take good care of each other.
Bye-bye.